Our next presenter is Ricky Spencer from Western Sydney University, talking about citizen science, remote sensing and turtles.
I must apologise, there are no koalas or bears in this talk. No mammals at all, so sorry about that. I do want to move on. I do want to acknowledge my co-authors and partners in this project, Liwan and Jim. This has been a truly organic, I guess, partnership and really fun project that really started during the COVID years. And I guess Jim reached out to me. Jim's with Transport for New South Wales, obviously lots of road work, new roads, that sort of stuff, but associated with the new airport in Western Sydney. He'd had a lot of complaints from people about dead turtles on roads. And I've obviously been studying freshwater turtles for a very long time, particularly the impacts of foxes, disease, those sort of things. We'd started a citizen science project called TurtleSat at the time, which gets people to record where they see turtles. And I said, Jim, yes, I can certainly help here because we've got citizen scientists recording where they're seeing turtles, and they're very much associated with roads, which was a big surprise nationally. But we also have citizen scientists that we're evolving into community conservationists. So they're doing the right thing, complaining to you, because they actually can take the data and actually understand what it means and that we've actually got problems. This evolved into what is called the 1 Million Turtles Project. This is a component of what we're doing in this space because road mortality is a big issue, as you'll see. So it was really good that we're seeing our citizen scientists becoming community conservationists and advocates in this space. I do want to acknowledge the partnership of 1 Million Turtles, as you can see here. I also want to acknowledge WIRES in this too. As you'll see, the habitat predictor model, which is really important for potential new roads going through, that sort of thing, started with a project that we were looking for looking for the nests of an invasive endangered species of turtle that we could then ramp up and apply because of the citizen science data to actually make nest habitat predictions for all species of turtle across Australia. Okay, so we've seen that obviously wildlife collisions are a major threat to biodiversity worldwide. They are a major threat to freshwater turtles. We talked about earlier about sex and age. Is that important to record? Absolutely, it's very important when it comes to freshwater turtles. Females are particularly attracted to roads during nesting season, during what we call Turtle Month in November, because they look for the highest points around wetlands to come out and nest and dig their nests and lay their eggs. And where do we put our roads? Usually at the highest points to avoid flooding as well. They also come out and bask, so they're looking for hot areas. Roads are hot, beautiful areas to bask and warm up. So our freshwater turtles are at risk, and adult mortality is the leading cause for population decline. We say to our citizen scientists the most profound action for any species in terms of conservation value for a population is stopping and picking up a turtle and moving it off the road. The reason why that is, if you think about it, they live about 100 years. They produce 20 or 30 eggs per year. So not only are you picking up that female, you're picking up thousands of potentially the next generation that she produces over the next 100 years or so. So what we've created is the 1 Million Turtles Project. At the heart of this is this TurtleSat app. And so essentially people are recording. We've now got upwards of 10,000 active citizen scientists. So it isn't just a small scale, this is national scale. We do have really trained and informed community groups which actually can go out and do regular surveys, record zeros, those sort of things, so we can standardise a lot of our data. And so becomes really important. You can kind of see it really is identifying hotspots in real time. So this is the TurtleSat app. This data allows us to then target specific areas, and you'll start seeing this will come up. We can actually display by dead turtles, comes up as so. You can see individual markers as well, but you can now see, particularly in areas in Western Sydney, but throughout Australia, these are the hotspots for dead turtles. These are just dead turtles, not where people have picked up live ones as well. We can look at them as well. So there's a huge amount of data, upwards of 25,000 now, we're getting to that point, but where you can start seeing hotspots. This is all citizen science data. Every time we get photos, so we can validate the data, we can see what species, where they've been hit on roads, that sort of thing. If you look, we had an incident, it'll come up here, up in Queensland, where there was a huge hotspot came up, and it was just abnormal in terms of the volume of traffic just up in here. What was happening, we could actually see on the side of the road that these turtles were off to the side of the road. What happened is what's been called turtle popping, as in trucks and cars targeting turtles to kill them. And so we were able to send that data off to Queensland authorities, and this now has actually calmed down. We're not seeing the amount of activity there. So what we're seeing is really getting specific locations where we're seeing these hotspots for road mortality. The good thing is that we are now starting, in terms of signs, that's stage one, where we've got community advocates taking data. Data's great. You can take them to local councils, people picking up turtles off the road because they understand how important it is. Not just, it's one of the unscripted ways to interact with wildlife too. People feel sad about turtles because they're so, but it also has huge amount of impacts on population declines and reducing the risks of extinctions. But also, obviously, signs. We've got a huge amount of signs. Hundreds of signs have gone out because of TurtleSat data. But, that doesn't look too good. I guess this is, not sure what's going on with that one, but what we had, I guess, in terms of this evolution of, this project and working with Jim initially about what we can do, particularly in these new roads, the M12, that sort of thing. Jim had hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of dash cam footage, and this again just during COVID time. So obviously we're interacting, not face to face, and that sort of thing. I reached out to a colleague in our university who works on AI and machine learning, particularly, and we thought, right, how can we take this footage? What can we do to actually, can we take this footage to actually see where and actually make it automated? Can we actually detect turtles on roads and not just rely on people recording where they're seeing? That's real time, but potentially we can really up this to actually see where the real hotspots are beyond what we're seeing with a large citizen science project. So Lee Wan, expert in this space, took this dash cam footage and we started doing other trials that you'll see. I guess to a large extent, what's the reasoning for this? Obviously, it can improve consistency and accuracy. I guess we do have accuracy with freshwater turtles. A turtle is a turtle. We can identify that through citizen science as well. So the photos that go up, we can see the species. People can easily identify it. But we can certainly improve that and we can make the process safer, more automated as well. Scalability. So potentially if you could think about the TurtleSat app sitting there like a dash cam, recording as you go through. Anyone could actually use it, and it could be part of dash cam technology that's part of any government agency and that sort of thing as well. Obviously, this would be real-time monitoring. Citizen science is real-time monitoring, but this is real-time monitoring that could send out alerts that turtles are nesting on roads, those sort of things, and particularly for wildlife carers as well to be alert. And obviously cost effectiveness as well. Other things, safety is another one as well. So a lot of people can't stop, and we have detailed instructions about how to stop, when to stop. Things like highways, 100 kilometres per hour, those sort of things. just remember where you saw it. You can't stop. It's not safe to do it. But potentially this would be a real-time alert that the turtle's potentially going out onto a road right now. And potentially send those alerts to authorities that can do something about it as well. So we'll just give you, I guess, the objective here of what we're trying to do, particularly with the dashcam footage, was to develop an automated visual recognition tool to identify turtles on roads and on the roadsides as well, which just, probably even more important as per se. But this could actually be expanded, and we're actually seeing the technology working with other species, but it's similar sorts of technology that we're looking here. So we had hours of dashcam footage. We obviously had huge amount of turtles and images from turtles and turtlesat, but we also had one of the big issues of foxes that actually kill turtles as well. So that was, probably their major threat. So we had a huge amount of turtle shells that we were using, and during COVID, doing covert operations to get the turtle shells to Jim to take them out to proper trials on this. And you can see, in terms of looking at predictability and able to detectability, really got to a point where it's 90% detectable. And you can see how these trials were being done in Western Sydney on some of the new roads. But I will move on. You can kind of see, and we can kind of see, again, taking this as fast forwarding through, but basically some of Jim's images here where turtles are on the sides of the road and able to be able to detect them as they go, as it goes along, pops it on like Google Earth type technology. Okay, so the next step though, is this going to work now? Okay. So we developed based on all this citizen science data and in specific areas, we developed these initial, predictive tools to predict where turtles would nest, particularly initially around an endangered species, in the Manning River. But what we found is that it was really quite predictable where turtles nest and where they come out to nest. Remember, they walk up hills to nest, hit roads. We were able to, generally turtles love these open grass areas in terms of nesting. So this gave us a lot of power in terms of predicting this, regardless of species. It was all very similar, using remote sensing to develop an app that where people can actually go in and actually go to areas where there's high probability of nesting. This becomes really important because in areas, say, like the new M12, that's going in Western Sydney, we can actually produce probability map of where the new road that you can see through there, is likely to have impact or likely to have turtles in there. This then potentially leads to, you can see at the bottom, potentially ways that we're using innovation to actually, it's not that hard to stop turtles. They can't really climb. So if you actually can have cuttings in, new roads of cuttings in, leading them, in terms of to drainage points where they can drop into a drain and get through. It's really quite simple. But this also led to, okay, let's retrofit. Let's go back and see what we can do. And so we've just concluded a trial. I don't have the results right now. It's part of a PhD master's project. But basically this season, we've put in essentially like drift fences. And they're essentially, you can see they're almost like funnel shape, circular, so if any turtles do come across, obviously we've got them on the other sides of the roads, but they do come across, they can get through, but the way that they're actually designed is that they're likely to, if they're coming from the water to hit the road, they're likely to be turned around and or then hit a drainage point down near the road as well. So these are the kind of things. We did this in Londonderry, but we also did it up near Bondi, so the Penrith Beach. So that's one of the Western Sydney is the Castlereagh and Northern Roads are the number one hotspots for road mortality for freshwater turtles, based on the TurtleSat data. So you can see, well, we did have some issues. No, I'm not going to say it's a Western Sydney thing, but we had lots of cameras stolen. But you can see turtle here using the fence line. It's just in there somewhere. It's about to come out. But basically, what you're seeing is really taking some citizen science data, really good comprehensive citizen science data, and putting it into action into an application to actually reduce adult mortality, because it is such an important part of the life history of freshwater turtles. For any freshwater turtle, adult mortality, particularly adult female mortality, drives populations to extinction. So I will leave it there. A minute left, so I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Ricky. Some questions. There's the first one, which you kind of touched on, but might be worth just addressing again, given that the importance of it is, how did you get around the issue of safety with citizen scientists and picking up turtles or not picking up turtles?
Yeah, so certainly road speed limits are one key factor where, particularly highways, that sort of thing, we recommend do not stop. I do, but we recommend to the public not to. So certainly below, in roads below 80 kilometres per hour where you can stop, definitely don't recommend. So one of the things I would say is that you can go to 1millionturtles.com, and we have a range of training modules that people can do for a whole range of activities, and that's one to actually do it. So safety is number one.
Yeah, absolutely. An important comment, so proud of Jim Steen for championing this, so well done, Jim. Great effort on getting this going. So the question around some of the challenges associated with detecting small species. So it's not coincidental, well, kind of is actually. The next presentation we're talking about elephants. Slightly different scale of size.
Yep.
So what are some of the challenges with turtles? And I guess it also then relates to frogs or small mammals or invertebrates. Where could this go?
It's quite amazing where you see turtles killed. In some areas, it's 10 kilometres per hour. So the general awareness of how people drive, don't generally see them until they've either hit them or just gone past them. Per se, that's part of 1 million turtles. That's part of that education as well, in terms of where you're likely to see them. The habitat predictor map is actually really important because it does show you areas, and so part of that we will have regular campaigns to kind of say, look, know where turtles are going to be in your area, particularly Turtle Month, which is November. I need everyone to download the TurtleSat app right now, so you are ready. It is World Turtle Day too on Thursday, so happy World Turtle Day.
Oh, is it?
It is, so yeah.
We planned it that way.
That's right.
Yeah. How fast can the vehicle go and still detect and identify turtles?
So we've done it to, is it 80 kilometres per hour? Yeah, so that's where it's been done at that speed so far.
And is it still that 90% accurate or whatever it was, the number? Yeah, pretty much.
Luan's nodding. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yep. And can we get it faster? So will it work at 100 and 110 kilometres an hour?
Those online, Luan, say we haven't done it at beyond 80 kilometres per hour, but Jim's got a challenge now to do it at 100. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
We just speed it up.
Yeah, so the answer for those online was that it's the testing's been done to 80 kilometres an hour, and Jim's going to get out on the weekend in his car and hit the 110 roads for us. But I mean, we do know a good a track where we could be going at 110 and looking at turtles.
Cuddle?
Yeah,
that looks good.
Yeah, Evan's still here. We heard about it earlier. Good. So there's a question which And so there's around the AI detection and with real-time warnings. So can we detect a turtle, warn the driver, and avoid a collision in real time?
Yes, that's the idea.
That
It,
Once it is predicted, then we will be putting it back into the Google Map. So once it goes to the Google Map, then the driver should be able to get back in.
it sounds like a good linkage grant for us, Lewa.
yeah.
Yep.
Just like any other body when they're getting in the Google Map, which is coming in. But in addition, I would like to get these signs that the other
If you can use the just use the microphone. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to consider that the earlier speaker was speaking about the warning signs that was putting and incorporating into this model as well. If I was actually talking to June, is that right? June? Is June here? Yes, June, yes. And that will be another good add-on. Once the models is done, then just on top of putting it into the Google Map, see if the drivers are not using the Google Map or sort of alert about that, then sign may not become. But if there's a sign on the road also saying at least at the hotspots, because the hotspots will be detected from this AI tool across wherever the data is collected. So once we know that where the hotspots are, if at least if the signs are there, that will be good. Because then when the drivers are driving, the sign also is a turtle on the road or a koala on the road or whatever the animal on the road. So extending it to the other animals also can't be that difficult, but the parameters will be different in optimization, the models.
Yep.
That's about
Understood. Okay, that's great. And I think, thank you. I think what I also see that's the first time that's really come up today in the discussion and the presentations is that this is actually your habitat suitability maps that you got from the citizen science data actually enables road agencies and local governments to avoid areas. So we don't even need to talk about mitigation because we can avoid the problem in the first place. And so that's a step before the mitigation, which, if is effective, is the best outcome.